Hi, everyone. Kathy Rose here. I want to talk to you about the astrology of April 2023. We are in the middle of the sun transiting the sign Aries, and so I have the Aries mandala on screen filled with this very dynamic physical energy, this extroverted action energy. So we have that in the background happening right now. Let's talk about the theme for April. If I were to summarize, it seems to me that April is the month for integration and digestion of some cycles that have recently completed and are being reactivated again by other planets. Let me explain what I mean. First, we have Mercury in Taurus in April, and it begins a retrograde phase on April 21st. Now, in a few slides, I'm going to explain more about how that is triggering integration and digestion. So give me a moment and I will get there. But next we have Venus transiting the sign Gemini, begins in April, on April 11th, and goes through May 7th. Venus in Gemini allows us to integrate and digest what we needed to learn from this most recent long transit of Mars in Gemini. Remember, Mars went retrograde in Gemini. And it's complete now. So Venus comes in and smooths it. So this is the perfect time to understand what did you learn from that very active time frame where for about the last 5 months, we had all of our thinking stirred up, all of our belief systems. We got to learn how our words and our voice and our beliefs help to shape our reality. And now Venus comes in and gives us the gift of saying, great, smooth that over now, integrate it and digest it. I like that. I think it's beautiful. And we have Mars transiting the sign Cancer. Now that it's left Gemini, it has entered Cancer. That began on March 25th, and it goes all the way until May 20th. Mars is the action planet. As it travels through Cancer, literally, it's activating digestion because Cancer rules the part of the body that is the stomach, but it also is activating our emotions and our feelings and our need to caretake. Energy wants to flow into caretaking during a Mars and Cancer time. And what we get to integrate are good boundaries. Do we have good boundaries? Do we caretake ourselves just as much as we caretake others? Be aware of that during this Mars and Cancer time. And then April 20th, we have a new moon in Aries at the last degree of Aries, but it's an eclipse. So it's very, very strong and dynamic. It's steamy, it's hot. We'll talk about that in a moment too. So let's go to the full moon in Libra. You see on the right side of the screen is the mandala for Libra, and immediately feel how it has the opposite energy of the mandala that I showed you in Aries. Totally different, right? You can feel it. The mandala for Libra has smoother, softer tones, more harmonious, gentler, where the mandala for Aries was very dynamic, right there, assertive and aggressive. This full moon in Libra, if you look on the left side of the screen at the chart, of course, every full moon, the sun and the moon are in opposite signs. But I feel the opposites from Aries and Libra most intensely, most opposite of all. Personally, that's just how I feel. Because Aries is so dynamic and outward and action-oriented and assertive and pioneering. And Libra is so cooperative and needing to have harmony and smoothness. So we get to integrate that at this full moon. We get to look at the part of us that can be strong and powerful and harmonious and charming. At the time of the full moon, on April 6th, we are going to have the sun conjunct Jupiter in Aries and also Chiron. So there is a lot of healing. I would ask yourself, do you feel guilty when you speak up and ask for what you want? Is there any conflict within about speaking up or being assertive or being dynamic? especially for women, there seems to be a lot of programming about this, that we're supposed to be nice. And often that nice programming gets in the way of really standing up for ourselves. So the moon in Libra helps us to channel that with the Aries dynamic. And on top of it all, if you look at this chart, you'll see Pluto in Aquarius squaring Mercury in Taurus. To me, the bottom line with this full moon in Libra is that it's okay to take up space. It's okay to ask for what you want, and you can fill your ask with charm and magnetism. When you ask for what you want, you can be loving, you can be kind, you can send the food back in a restaurant and still be kind about it. You can ask for a refund and still be kind. Not everything has to have a pointy edge, which now brings me to this photo, which I think symbolizes this full moon in Libra. This is a photo I took when I was in Sedona several years ago, and it was at a time when the cactus were blooming. Isn't that a great photo? I love this one because the symbol here, you've got the prickly pear cactus, which has all these pointy edges. Very strong plant, right? You don't want to go touch it. But it's blooming and the blooms are gorgeous. They're beautiful. And the fruit is delicious. If you've ever had a prickly pear margarita, oh my God, it's so good. Or a prickly pear jam or jelly. I mean, it's really delicious. So you've got this mixed image here. And if you meditate on this image, you'll see that you can be beautiful and charming and soft and strong and courageous and powerful. You can find that perfect balance. All right, so moving on, let's talk about Mercury retrograde. It begins April 21st and goes through May 14th. The image that's on the left side of the screen is a painting I did a long time ago. I call it the mandala tree. And you can see the yin and yang symbol in it, the balance that needs to take place. And I chose a tree because Mercury retrograde is going to be in Taurus, which is an earth sign, and you want to be rooted and balanced and grounded. What happens when Mercury is retrograde is we get this special period to go within and analyze and integrate and churn information around and review it and ask ourselves if we need to change our mind about something, if we need to reorganize our thoughts. It's a special internalization period, and it can be phenomenally productive. You know, I steer away from the negatives about Mercury retrograde. I am never going to energize what you see quite often on social media. You can choose to have all of that information that is promoted about Mercury retrograde that is less than productive. You can choose to have that if you want. I don't choose to have that in my own life. And I hope that doesn't sound too Aries-like, too pointy. But the fact of the matter is, I usually have wonderful Mercury retrogrades because in advance, I program that it's a special opportunity to be extra productive. So this time frame, when Mercury is in the retrograde phase, it is going to particularly activate learning and digestion and integration for people who have planets in Taurus between 5 and 15 degrees. Now, this is a digestion time for the people who have recently gone through a Uranus transit that began in 2019 and still continuing now, depending on the degree of the planet you have in Taurus. Now, if you don't know if you have planets there, guess what? You can call your friendly astrologer and schedule a consultation, and I'll let you know. But it's likely you know if you've gone through massive change and an awakening period, because that's what Uranus does. So as Mercury retrogrades during this time, you get to integrate and digest the change you may have gone through. Now, if you don't have planets in Taurus, then you just get to integrate and digest in general. But if you do, this is a very, very special Mercury retrograde. Look forward to it. And it's going to produce some powerful insight for you. And then we get to this image that I chose for the new moon eclipse in Aries on April 20th. Now I'm going to do an extra separate video about the new moon eclipse. So I'm not going to go in depth here, but I do want you to look at this image and understand that this new moon eclipse in Aries, which will happen at 29 degrees Aries, is extra steamy and extra hot. And you're going to want to be ready for it because, again, just like I talked about for the full moon in Libra happening earlier in the month, it is so important right now that we activate the pioneer within, the warrior within, the courage within, the active principle to get what we need in life. But it's also so important that we smooth the edges a bit and do it with kindness and lovingness. This new moon eclipse that happens on April 20th is going to help us to do that. So watch for my new moon video. I'll be talking more about that, and that will come out mid-month. But in the meantime, know you have this steamy, hot, powerful period to look forward to. Final thoughts. My key phrase, I learned this from my good friend Noel Till, is Mercury may be retrograde, but I'm not. So remember, you are not victim to the planets. The planets don't make things happen. We make things happen by our choices and our beliefs. And I would never want to think that I am a victim to the planetary movements. I might cooperate with them and flow with them. I might reach out and sense what's happening, but they don't do things to me, in my opinion. And the final image is a mandala that I created a long time ago. I love this one because I think it sort of symbolizes this upcoming new moon eclipse in Aries on April 20th, but it also symbolizes this time frame right now. The combination of harmony with dynamic energy, the symmetry in this mandala, and the combination of the colors, to me, is talking about the month of April in general, that you can be strong and you can be dynamic and powerful, and you can be loving and soft at the same time. Two principles that need to come together. And I would love to see this on social media, not this image, but I would love to see this principle on social media, that when we make comments to people's posts, we remember to be kind or smooth or diplomatic. We don't have to always be attacking. So that's what I have to say about April 2023. I wish you much love, much harmony, and I will look forward to seeing you hopefully mid-month when I talk about this powerful eclipse coming up on April 20th. Bye for now.